welcome to the Gully Cricket Show podcast. My name is Shayan, and today with me is Sharyat and Archit. And joining us all the way from New Zealand, we have Adam Bell. Today we decided to talk a little bit about the most anticipated group in the Champions Trophy, in which we have Pakistan, India, and New Zealand. But we will also talk about things that have led up to this tournament. First game between Pakistan and India starts on the 19th. Pakistan and New Zealand start on the 19th, and then India and Bangladesh after that. So India is coming off of a very comprehensive win over England, and Pakistan and New Zealand faced each other in the Tri-Nation tournament final, where New Zealand was victorious. So Adam, starting off with you, last couple of weeks have been pretty good with news for New Zealand. What are your thoughts on that? And we can probably dive into the Champions Trophy campaign after.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've really hit the ground running in the Tri-Nation series. I mean, 3 wins out of 3 matches. They did it pretty easily, I guess. 3 really comprehensive victories. The squad looks good. It's experienced. There's lots of batting depth. Maybe there's a couple of injuries that have hit the New Zealand side before the tournament. I think like Ben Sears has gone home injured. But apart from that, I think New Zealand's looking really good. They had a good series win against Sri Lanka as well. So yeah, I think so far, I think there's a lot of confidence around the New Zealand group that they can take home the Champions Trophy this time around.
How do you rate Michael Bracewell? Because as a Pakistani fan, we just cannot get our hands around Bracewell. There is something about him that we just cannot get around, and even South Africa was able to play him a little better. But Pakistan has serious troubles with Michael Bracewell. And how important do you think he is to New Zealand cricket at the moment?
I think he's a real vital cog in the white ball teams, and he's really someone that's kind of hit the ground running in this national cricket. Probably better than a lot of people expected. I remember interviewing him a couple of years before he played for New Zealand, and even then, like he was making a transition into how he, basically becoming a batter to a spinning all-rounder, because he started off as a top order batsman, and he wasn't a dynamic top order batsman either. He was quite a defensive orientated batter. So to see him kind of change his game and become a power hitting spinning all-rounder has been quite the change. And I think he was one of the players that New Zealand missed in the 2023 World Cup in India. Not only is he acts as a frontline spinner, but he's a very, very good batter to have at number 7. And remember, a couple of years ago, he scored 100 against India, and India batting down the order. I think it might have been 140 off the top of my head. And that kind of got New Zealand back into the game after New Zealand were chasing, 300 odd after Shubman Gill got a double century earlier in the day. So, he has really shown his power hitting ability. And I think his all-round game just adds another dimension to the New Zealand side. It basically means that New Zealand's got 2 frontline spinners and bat all the way down to number 8 with Mitchell Santner.
Yeah, that's what we saw in the Tri Series. Like by the time Michael Bracewell came, I think in Lahore, he was able to smack a quick 30 of 15 or 17 balls or something like that. Kind of changed the dynamics of the game a bit.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I actually reckon it was Bracewell that got that innings going. I mean, I know Glenn Phillips got the 100 in the end, but up until that point, Glenn Phillips wasn't looking as comfortable. And then once Michael Bracewell got a few away and got the momentum going, then kind of Glenn Phillips followed. So I completely agree with you. He's a real X-factor player. He seems to get wickets in his first over as well. And he's got a bit of a hold on Barbara Azam as well. So yeah, he's a really good player for New Zealand.
Yeah, he's got him about 7 times, I think.
Yeah,
The last
7 times. Crazy,
last
right?
couple times yeah. Archit, for India,
Mm.
what are your feelings leading up to the tournament? India is notoriously has selected 5 spinners.
Yes.
Pakistan has selected about one specialist spinners. Um, uh, I think New Zealand has about three. So either they're idiots or we're stupid. It's one or the other, right?
I, okay, so couple of things. I think number one, the biggest challenge that India has is New Zealand. For some reason, New Zealand gets the better of India, right? Almost all the times, they almost chase down in semifinals of the World Cup. So, and it's interesting how Michael Bracewell has Babar Azam. Santner has the complete Indian team. Looks like it. He comes on and they don't know how to play left-arm spinners, and they carry two of them in their own team. So I don't know what happens, but something happens, right? But okay. So five spinners logic. It's hard. It's tough to completely understand, but I think I know what's going on. At least that's what they're telling us. So India wants to bat till 8. Okay. The only genuine all-rounder that they have is Hardik Pandya. Apart from that, the genuine batters that they have are Ravi Jadeja, you have Akshar Patel, and then you have Washington Sundar, right? All three of them are spinners. So just look at them as all-rounders for a moment, okay? And then you have two specialist spinners, which is a bit too much, but your new guy is basically backup for Kuldeep Yadav, who's the mystery spinner. How can I forget his name? Varun Chakravarti, right? He's the backup spinner for Kuldeep Yadav. And they are taking 3 seam bowlers. So that's Shami, that's the new guy Rana, and then you have this...
How was Siraj overlooked?
He wasn't bowling good with the old ball, and I think our coach Gautam Gambhir really backs Harshit Rana. So Gautam Gambhir is infamous, notorious.
Can I be skeptical and say that this is the KKR connection?
100%, no doubt about it. But no, I tell you, but in a good way. So when I know Navdeep Saini, when he was coming in and playing for Delhi, Gautam Gambhir went and batted for him. So there is this area so Delhi is not just Delhi anymore. It is NCR. It's Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon, a lot of cities together, right? It's like the GTA in Toronto, right? So Navdeep Saini comes from the outskirts. He's from where Sehwag comes from. So Gautam Gambhir went out of his way to say, no, he's a genuine talent. I will drop my captaincy if you don't play Navdeep Saini. He said that to the Delhi Association. So when he backs somebody, he really backs him. And that is why you see Harshit Rana is there in Test team, T20 team, ODI team. And Harshit Rana is not just there because of his seam bowling. I think he brings in a little bit of batting. So that is what they're trying to do. That you get in an Arshdeep, who's a proper death bowler. Then you have Shami, who's recovering, and then you have Rana. And in case they want to play with 2 wrist spinners, Chakravarti and Kuldeep Yadav, they will be forced to go with Harshit Rana as a second seam bowler because he brings in a little bit of batting. So India is very clear. Rohit and Kohli are not in top form. We want to beef up our batting, and we want to bat till number 8 because we want to go hammer and tongs at the top. Now, who are your good options for all-rounders? And India has picked all the all-rounders which they wanted to take. The only other person they could have actually taken is Nitish Reddy, but he has a side strain. So otherwise, he would have been a perfect replacement for Washi Sundar. And then you would have been like, okay, 2 spin bowling all-rounders, so 2 seam bowling all-rounders, 2 fast bowlers, and that's basically your bowling attack, and 2 specialist spinners. So because Nitish Reddy is not available, so you're stuck with 1 seam bowling all-rounder, that's Hardik Pandya, who's going to play. And max to max, India is going to play 5 games. So everyone has to carry themselves for just 5 games at the max, right? And all those games are going to be in Dubai.
Yes.
So there's no traveling for Team India.
Yes.
right? So all they have to do is be fit for those 5 games without traveling. That's all they have to do. And Rohit Sharma prefers an off spinner in the team. The only real person you could have kept out is probably kept out Washington Sundar and bring in Yashasvi Jaiswal. So you bring in a Jaiswal, you drop a Sundar, and that looks more like a regular squad. But they decided, hey, KL can open, so and they are not able to fit in a Rishabh Pant. So in case one of the two openers gets injured and they need somebody to open, KL can come and open, and Pant walks into the team then. So there is logic out there with Rohit Sharma. I think he is one of the better captains India's had. But let's see what happens. And again, the bloke won T20 World Cup with similar set of spinners. So he took 4 spinners to the World Cup, right? And I think they knew all their games are going to be day games. So there is no dew or anything in India games. And he packed them with spinners. So I think that's the thought process. You play spinners, and
It's interesting that you brought this up, and I kind of want to get this outside perspective from Adam. I don't know how much you followed pre-tournament festivities that we experienced with India and Pakistan. I want to know what's the outside perspective as a Kiwi or whoever else, but for you specifically, when you read those headlines, what were your thought process? Where did you stand, or what was your initial thoughts on the whole fiasco we saw? Because I can tell you, India and Pakistan game is going to be. It may not be a competitive game. I don't know, but it will. Viewerships, I think, is going to smash the charts all over again.
Well, you know that I'm married to a Pakistani, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my allegiances lie. It's a pretty intense game, and I never actually really understood it until now, being in a Pakistani family, about how intense the rivalry is. And obviously, like, you see the big games, the World Cups, and going back to when I was a kid in the late 90s and stuff. But once you're in a family of it, you understand how massive it is. And I think probably from a Pakistan perspective is that it's probably also in the last decade or so, you've seen like the rise of India in all formats, to being in the top 2 teams in the world. And then you've also seen Pakistan's cricket kind of going through like a tough period. So it is an interesting contrast of where the countries have kind of gone as well. And someone who's followed both nations, I mean, Pakistan in the 90s were stronger than India, but would always, for whatever reason, lose World Cup games against India. And then it was really that match in Dubai in the T20 where Pakistan won. It kind of started to change the dynamic a little, and then it's kind of gone back to India dominating it. And because we don't really see these matches very often, I think it becomes even more important, and I think for Pakistan at the moment, I think the match against India is going to be obviously huge for a lot of different reasons. Obviously for the tournament, obviously for like the bragging rights as well. I mean, I think the fact that Pakistan now have to travel to Dubai, I think they would really like to make a statement and win that game.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the off the field issues, it becomes a very how would I put it politely? It becomes like a thing to have in the bag, right? Oh yeah, we won.
so
Despite all the issues, we won. What were you gonna say, Archit?
So I think let's touch a little bit on the mudslinging that goes before all these games,
Yes.
right? That's
Yes.
fun, right?
Yes.
Unnecessary stuff. And one thing which really embarrasses me, honestly, is for some reason, Indian audiences need to mature on cricket content. Because what has happened is the anti-Pakistan narrative sells so much in India that even Pakistani YouTubers have started selling the anti-Pakistan narrative. And it's not okay. And I think it has to come to a point where uh, it makes some sense for an avid cricket follower. It cannot always be. I mean, with the drama and nonsense that has gone on about the stadiums in Pakistan, it's just embarrassing to see. Unnecessary stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
at a time where the two boards would be like, okay, how can we help you, right? To do something right. We understand our government does not allow us to travel, but okay, forget about everything. How do we help you? I think that basic ideology has gone missing. It has almost become, okay, how can we screw you, right? What
Yeah.
else can we
Yeah.
do to make it tough for you to do something? So that for me is just plain and simple obnoxious. It's a no-go. You cannot do that. And it's not like the Pakistani version of everything is great. No, that's not great either, because
Yeah.
they are so much dependent on eyeballs and popularism that the basic civic sense of the whole or the sporting culture has gone out of the window. So I think that has really struck me even before the Champions Trophy. Because how can everyday Indian media people show you how a Pakistani stadium is not going to be built? How is it something which is very important? I mean, okay, you don't like Pakistan, you don't want to travel over there, whatever reasons, all good, accepted. Right? I personally believe you don't play cricket with them. You don't pick and choose. You don't say that India-Pakistan game has to happen, but we are not going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H things. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So so for me as a cricket fan, I think whatever has gone on before the Champions Trophy is not okay. I mean, there has to be a way for the YouTube community at least to understand and try to self-regulate and understand that this is not okay. This is, I mean, just crass. I mean, from past, I think we did a podcast for December 1 or 2 where India is traveling or not traveling. And it took 40 odd days for them to come to a situation where nobody's traveling to anyone, anywhere, right? We'll have everything in it.
And I don't think this is going to be a lasting solution, because when it comes to the next year's T20 World Cup, although they've decided in principle that they will not travel to India, there will be, I can tell you that there will be some clownery that'll come into effect about either on the side of BCCI or on the side of PCB. But let's come to Pakistan. We've seen a record chase against South Africa. We've seen almost the opposite performance against New Zealand in the final. There has been a lot of talks on changing the squad, shuffling Pakistan in batting order, move Babar back to 3, bring someone else to open. Whole lot of talk now, obviously, because we have lost. Initial thoughts on the squad formation, and how do you see Pakistan chances right now before things shape up?
I think Pakistan has opted to go for similar tactics that they implemented back in 2015 World Cup. So if we compare the 2015 World Cup, they only took one opener, and then they made a guy sit out who was arguably in his best form of his life, of Sarfraz Ahmed, and they didn't choose to play him until we were almost on the verge of, being kicked out from the World Cup. So that brings me those memories, the way, they are putting up the squad or the playing 11. Like last night, I think, 2 days ago when they won against South Africa, they had a team where they had 3 fast bowlers, a stacked up middle order, and then when you are playing a final against a good team, you choose to make a change of bringing in an all-rounder, and then you only having him bowl 2 overs. So that tells you like they are not even sure which way to go, or which sort of resources that they are going to utilize in these conditions. So they have picked up the squad without, thinking too much how to, make a playing 11 in different conditions. What will be the roles of different players in the team? Like the perfect example was like in the first game they made Kamran Ghulam bat at number 3, and and because of that Babar is opening. But then the next game that was in Karachi against South Africa, they chose to go with South Shakil at the similar number. And then when the squad was announced, one of the selector came, gave the explanation of selecting South Shakil because they were seeing him as like a backup opener to Babar, right? So now both openers are playing in the same team, and the guy who was selected as a middle order batter is warming the bench. So it's so much confusion right now, and because the results are like up and down for a moment, so they are not sure which way to go. But I can only hope that this tri series have given them a good picture of what we can expect for the tournament opener against New Zealand. I'm not. Are we playing in Karachi against New Zealand?
Yeah, for opening game is in Karachi. Yep.
So it's gonna be a pretty similar surface, similar conditions. Obviously, New Zealand is looking really good. It seems like they have, put together a more balanced playing 11, and everybody is chipping in with their performances. So the Pakistan have to be very good on that day to beat New Zealand. It's looking tough for them, considering the fact that New Zealand has played so much cricket in the recent past in Pakistan. They almost appears to be like a home team. Like they they know what conditions to expect, what playing 11s to go for. Like all of their players, they look really comfortable. Their
I
batting
mean,
looks really
if you
great.
consider how many times New Zealand have toured Pakistan in the recent past, I would say they are they are more of the home team.
Yeah, I think like since 2022, this will be their like fifth or sixth tour. Like,
Yeah,
and it's not even an exaggeration, but yeah, but their team is looking really good. And I think and Santner being a new captain, like he is doing really well. He's his bowling changes, his overall captaincy looks on the spot. So Pakistan has a lot of things to do. And I think this sort of pre-build up for Pakistan I think is going to help them because now they feel like they are on um they feel like all the fans, all the media is now criticizing them. They are keeping a close eye on how they are going to make a comeback, and I think that's where it really brings out the best from Pakistan. So I feel like this loss will help them understand what's at stake, and not to mention that because they are the defending champion, there's an extra pressure of that too. And on top of that, you are playing in home condition except one match. That those sort of pressures, can bring the best out of you when you know that if you lose the first game and then you have the next game in Dubai, which is always going to be a tough game against a tough opposition. Even though in Champions Trophy our record has been more on the dominating side, but at the end of the day, it's India, Pakistan, full house. And lately, Pakistan has not been able to dominate India from the winning position. So, um, it will be very interesting to see how Pakistan will make a comeback. And I think the first thing they have to be spot on with is their playing 11 because they are all sort of praised right now.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned that they're playing all their games at home except for one in Dubai. Dubai, maybe they also played a lot of cricket in Dubai, so Dubai is almost a
And they might play two
makeshift.
games.
But
They
yeah,
might play two games in Dubai. You never know.
I think this is probably the only time we're all hoping that we play only one game.
It'll be
No
so funny
disrespect.
if India gets knocked out in the first round, man. I know one thing for sure. Two legends are gone from ODI cricket. India has a lot to
Well
lose.
done.
Um,
India
Adam,
loses 2 out of 3 games. and you might not see a Rohit Sharma again. So stakes are high, man.
Yeah. Yep. We'll get to that in a minute. But Adam, looking at the first game versus Pakistan, although we have not seen the main pitches in Karachi were not used for the Tri-Nation because they were being reserved for the Champions Trophy. So chances are that they will be fresh pitches. I think easier to assume that it'll have the same two faciness on it, like spongy bounce or a slow wicket or patches that will kind of skid through. So looking at the recent form and the squad formation on New Zealand, do you expect New Zealand to make any changes? Do you foresee that New Zealand will look at it a little differently considering the Tri-Nation win?
I think from the final, though, I think Matt Henry will come into the team. I'm just trying to think who was left out. I think Jacob Duffy might come into the side as well. So they'll probably beat the team up with a couple of extra seamers. I think that's probably what they'll do. I can't see New Zealand making any drastic changes. I think they're quite consistent about what they're going to do. Actually, no, Lockie Ferguson, actually.
Yeah, I was about to ask about Ferguson.
Lockie Ferguson is fit. I think Lockie Ferguson and Matt Henry will play on the first match. So that'll beef up the bowling. So that's kind of what I think they'll do.
What is as a fan, what do you want to see what's the hope for New Zealand? I guess that's the question I'm trying to ask.
It's quite interesting because I think in cricket there's a bit of a law of averages. And I think from probably most New Zealand fans' perspective, they've won 2 games against Pakistan, but then in the back of your mind, it's Pakistan are due for a win against New Zealand. And if you actually look at Pakistan's record against New Zealand in any ICC tournaments, it's really, really good. Going back to 1992 when Pakistan beat New Zealand twice in that World Cup. In 1999, Pakistan beat New Zealand in a World Cup semi-final. Obviously, you've got the 2 most recent T20 World Cups where Pakistan beat New Zealand. One was in a semi-final, and then one was in a group match. And then you don't have to go back too long to when Pakistan beat New Zealand and India in that round-robin game. So when you really put it all together, and also add in 2019 when Babar, scored that 100 when Pakistan chased down New Zealand's score. And in tournaments, a lot of the time, New Zealand and Pakistan have kind of been vying a lot for semi-final positions as well. So I kind of feel that Pakistan in big knockout games or at World Cup games have had the advantage over New Zealand. And I think that will be in most New Zealand fans' minds. That Pakistan are due. If it was a bilateral series, I'd say New Zealanders would be favourites to win that series, say 3-2 or 4-1. But in a one-off game, all it takes is Fakhar Zaman or Babar or Shaheen Shah to have a really good day, and then Pakistan wins the game. So I think there is a little bit of nervousness around.
Oh, even after the win, you would say there was nervousness around. Wow.
I think New Zealand fans have probably seen the team in this kind of position before, being kind of comfortable, being settled. But bilateral games are completely different than World Cup games, and especially in this kind of format. Because if New Zealand was to lose to Pakistan, it puts a lot of pressure on the next game against India. And I guess vice versa. Pakistan lose against New Zealand, then they go into that match against India with lots of pressure on. So,
I have a question. What's the status for Rachin Ravindra? Is he fit or?
From what I've heard, it looks like he's over his head injury.
Okay.
So I'd anticipate he'd be open to batting with Devon Conway. But I think a lot of fans are always a bit superstitious when it comes to playing against Pakistan. As I said, like in World Cups, Pakistan's record is really, really good. I think the only time I can, off the top of my head, can remember New Zealand beating Pakistan in a World Cup would have been in 2011 when Ross Taylor smashed that 100. I think Kaman Akmal, dropped him a couple of times. Apart from that, I can't think of a time where New Zealand's beaten Pakistan.
I think there was one instance in 2006, I think, Champions Trophy in India. Then New Zealand beat Pakistan in that one too.
It's kind of similar to how like New Zealand has the wood over India in tournaments as well. It's kind of like the opposite.
Yeah. Yes.
And then they've all three been put in the same team together, group together. So, and then you've got like Bangladesh as well. Like Bangladesh have beaten like New Zealand in the last Champions Trophy as well. So, everyone's talking about Pakistan, New Zealand, and India. And I feel like everybody's kind of forgetting that there's Bangladesh.
Yeah, it's like a towards the
It's
side.
like,
Just
it's like, I haven't even, no one's talking about Bangladesh, you know what I mean? Who knows if they get a pitch with a bit of turn on it, they could upset one of these teams as well. So,
I mean, how fitting would it be if Pakistan loses to New Zealand and India loses to Bangladesh, and then they're both in that high pressure game coming in with one loss each? So that would be interesting.
If India loses to Bangladesh,
every team ends up being on one win, and it goes down to net run rate. That'd be isn't it the dream?
I mean, that's a classic Pakistan scenario.
But we have seen that scenario before too. Like, I mean, I know it was only in a T20 World Cup, but 2021 was exactly that. Pakistan beat India and New Zealand. By the time India played New Zealand, New Zealand beat India, and then India was all sort of troubles. Yeah. So they were like practically they were knocked out because they lost to within a span of 1 week. So it will be very interesting, and I think back to what everything that was happening behind the scenes before the tournament. If for some reason India gets knocked out or they didn't qualify for the playoff, I cannot even imagine how much fun people will have on different platforms. Like,
told you already, 2 people are gone from Indian cricket.
I mean that's just like the cricketing decision you're talking about, right? I'm talking about from fans' perspective. Like, people will go berserk. Like,
Twitter will probably explode.
Twitter will probably explode. Bunch of reels will be made up. Memes will be all over the place. You cannot even imagine the damage that it will cause. And vice versa. Like, if Pakistan gets knocked out, like being a host nation, you can totally expect the opposite too. So it will be fun times for the next 2-3 weeks.
It's so funny that the whole narrative in India is, okay, so we are reaching the finals for sure. We have to worry about the finals. It's a given. It's like a given. We are already there in final, right? Final is happening in Dubai. Oh my God! When the T20 World Cup happens in India, will the final be in Colombo? Right? So people are already talking about those things. So Indian cricket, man, I think, I call them the well-deserved bullies, right? That's what they've become. Just bullying everyone around. So yes. But talking of other teams as well, huge surprise with the 3 quickies from Australia not playing, right? Big dent. Big dent.
I think there is about 12 unavailable players. I think Bumrah is not there. Stark, a lot of people are not there in this time.
I think there was one post that I saw. I don't know if it was a Twitter or Facebook, but the guy wrote like, people in subcontinent are sad about, Jasprit Bumrah not playing the Champions Trophy, or Simon Ayub is not playing the Champions Trophy. Nobody is even realizing the fact that Australia is not playing with half of their team, and nobody is making a huge,
Stoinis retired. Marcus Stoinis retired.
Stoinis retired. Stark pulled out. Hazelwood, Cummins, all of them are injured. Like,
Marsh is injured.
It's a bit of a blessing in disguise for Australia, though, because do we really see Mitchell Stark and Hazelwood playing in 2 years?
Probably not.
Like
not the
Stark's
white
going to
ball
be
format.
37.
Yeah.
Hazelwood's going to be 36. Mitchell Marsh, I think, will be mid-30s as well. This is the next generation Australian team.
I mean, they're pretty good. Like Spencer, I think he has a pretty
He's
good
good. Yeah.
IPL gig. So I think Australia is still in with a chance, and usually I think their mental toughness kind of gets them through all the way. And as Archit said, you have 3 games first, right? If as soon as you can clear those 3 games out, it kind of paints the picture clear on where you stand in the tournament. So looking at
my favorite from the Australian team, Jake Fraser McGurk. I'm waiting for that guy to explode in one game. Right? He
if
played.
if
He explodes in one game. Oh man, that's all I want. I want
if
him to score like a
Australia
30 ball 90 or something.
and that could very well happen if Australia plays in Pindi. That will definitely going to happen because Pindi is gonna be a
I
batting
think
paradise.
Australia and South Africa are playing in Pindi.
Whichever team is playing in
Yeah.
Pindi, like those people, those type of batters will going to enjoy those conditions. It will definitely going to be a high scoring game. And people like McGurk or Clausen and all those guys, they will enjoy the conditions because they will be as flat as you can get.
I think the one team that we're counting out is Afghanistan. I think they are genuinely a dark horse. They have decent spinners, although they've lost their first warm-up game, but their spinners kind of put them in a position where they have a decent chance to cause some upsets.
I picked them as one of my semi-finalists on Twitter. But then I saw overnight they got beaten by the Shaheens by 144 runs. And then I started to regret my decision, to be honest.
But did you pick 3 teams from one group though? Because I think that's
No, I didn't. No, I didn't do a Kevin Peterson. No, I didn't. Or I think it was
I
Harbhajan
feel
Singh. I
like
think he did the same.
yeah, I think Ravi Shastri, Harbhajan Singh, Kevin Peterson, they all did the same thing, and I think this is the new norm now. Like pick 3 teams from one group and look cool, you know. It was fun. But I think like if you look at it's called Group B or Group A, like all the Australia
Yeah.
and South Africa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that group is genuinely like if you have to pick 2 teams, you genuinely will struggle to pick 2 teams out of that because the recent form of some of the teams is not that great. Like England is coming off a very tough series loss against India. South Africa is on the verge of is coming from a 6-match losing streak. Afghanistan, yeah, they are a pretty good team, but then they are in a group where they have to face Australia, England, and South Africa. So, but they all can make it into the playoff. Like if you have to pick based on the form, you would pick Australia and Afghanistan for that matter to make it to the playoff because England and South Africa are not really doing great lately. So it will be very interesting to see how it would go in that group.
Afghanistan also sort of has a weird controversy surrounding them, given some statements from like non-cricketing professionals. Came from England, came from Australia, and even South Africa. They all tried to boycott or whatever you want to call it. So I think it kind of gives them the added motivation to, stick it to them and say, screw you, you're out, we're in, and we're going to the finals or
I
semifinals.
guess that their game against Australia will be a good one to watch because because they will feel that because it will be a home-like conditions for them, and definitely they will have a lot of crowd support as well, no matter where they are playing. But that game will be very interesting based on how Australia have treated them in the past. So
It'll literally be all on the line for Afghanistan. So let's dive into India and New Zealand game. That'll happen in Dubai. Adam, looking at the perspective that teams will have to travel between Pakistan and Dubai, does that impact your preparation? Because Pakistan conditions are usually flat as compared to Dubai, where conditions will be a little different. Some assistance for spinners, some assistance for bowlers that offer variation. Dubai pitches are notorious for that. So, what is your perspective on the challenge that teams will face on traveling between the two venues or two conditions?
I mean, obviously, it's having to get on a flight as well, and move your operations to another country. The stadiums, the heat. Is there going to be dew factor in Dubai at this time of the year as well?
Probably.
We saw on the T20 World Cup how that was a massive factor. I mean, in terms of the pitches, I mean, the IRT20 has just recently finished. Will those pitches be worn? Are they going to be using new pitches? I haven't heard anything about those pitches, but I mean, if they're going to be using some of the pitches that we use in the IRT20, then they may be a little bit more spin friendly, and hence why India have taken a bundle load of spinners. So I think in terms of New Zealand's perspective, I mean, New Zealand's already got a pretty balanced team with 3 main spinners in the team. And also that has allowed New Zealand to play 3 seamers as well. So I think that would be the mix anyway. When New Zealand play India and Dubai, I can't see them changing too much. And I think I mentioned this before on Twitter that New Zealand can kind of tinker their bowling lineup a little bit without really compromising their batting, which I think is a bit of an advantage. And I think they'll pretty much stay with the same team. We've also had Lockie Ferguson that's been playing in the IRT20 recently as well. So, you'll probably understand the conditions over there. But yeah, I think it will depend on the state of the pitches in Dubai and what they are like and whether they're actually going to be new or not. Because, if they are a little tired after the IRT20, they may not be the easiest to bat on.
I mean, from what I've seen, ILT20, I think the average score was around 150, 160, with some rare scores over 180, almost 200. If the same pitches are used, that sort of tells me that the pitches will be worn. So I think a good 240, 250 would be a decent total to defend if your bowling is on song. And I think given the bowling resources India and New Zealand both have, I think 250 would be par, I think, in my opinion.
Would a lower scoring game, would that suit India or India's opponents? Because we know on good batting conditions, India have got the team to really blow other teams away. But if the games are a little bit more low scoring, does that kind of bring New Zealand into it more? Does that bring kind of Pakistan into it a little bit more?
So they're missing Bumrah, and he has been phenomenal with setting the tone up front. I don't know who will fill that role now. Shami is coming off of an injury. I don't know how fit he is. I don't know what his form is. I haven't really followed him, during the injury phase. So it'll be interesting who fills that void, and whoever fills that void has big shoes to fill.
So I was actually looking at the schedule. India and New Zealand, I think India played their game on 23rd, and then they played the game against New Zealand. They have a week. So traveling is not a factor. So there's a week gap between, I'm just looking at the schedule right now. And so Pakistan-New Zealand game happens on the 24th Feb. And then they have the game against India on 2nd March. So they have ample amount of time. So at least, So it's not that the teams are going to be fatigued. So that is not going to happen. In ILT20, what they've done is they have gone with green top pitches at starting of the tournament. So they are hoping that they're able to hold the wickets for till Champions Trophy. But based on R. Ashwin's podcast, he said that they are maintaining pitches for fast bowling. They are not necessarily making it spin friendly, at least at this point. And I'm not sure who's controlling the pitch management there. Is it ICC?
ICC.
If ICC is doing, then maybe you might get a little bit of a turner. But if it is in some way controlled by Pakistan, they're going to make a seaming track. I mean, there should be no difference between the outfield and the pitch, right? India's carrying 5 spinners. Give them that. So, but yes, and coming to your question about India's fast bowling, I think it's inexperienced. Shami is the top bowler who's not in top form. He's been struggling. He's not the Shami of the World Cup. Arshdeep Singh is new to ODI cricket, and Nitish Rana, he just started bowling in internationals, right? So his debut, I think his test debut and everything has come in past 2 months. So Indian fast bowling is inexperienced. The 2 lead fast bowlers are Shami and Hardik Pandya. So you are going to see a lot of bowling from Hardik Pandya, and I'm not sure if you can sustain those many overs. So fast bowling is definitely weak. In spin, I think what they're banking on is Akshar or Washinder Sundar to come and do that one change spin bowler in Dubai. That's what they're banking on, because I'm not even sure how they cannot play Kuldeep and Varun in the same game. They cannot play those 2 spinners in the same game without compromising their batting. So I think Rohit Sharma is very clear what he wants, what his team is going to be. And because it's Dubai, I don't think India is going to change a lot of team combination.
Just a quick question though. Do you see Arshad Rana walking into the playing 11, or he will be a concussion sub?
He's an impact sub. I think that's what you mean. Not a concussion sub. Man, bullies. Everyone in power behaves the same way. I have no clue. Nobody's saying how is that. Forget about being fair. How can somebody allow that to happen? But yeah, it happened.
Apparently, it was in the rules somewhere. That's what they just
no.
That's
So the rule is allowed it. Yes. So the rule is very clear. The rule says whoever is going to substitute, their major role and the role that the player is going to do in the remainder of the game. So basically, the role that Shivam Dubey would have done in the remainder of the game was arguably bowling, seam bowling.
Yeah,
so
bowling
the player
at
who's
140.
substituting is this. So that's how they did it. But yeah, completely unfair, obviously. So
you know who I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about Harry Brook. He's gonna play his games in Lahore. Lahore is notorious for smogs. I have a feeling that he might find it difficult to find the ball.
But he likes Pakistani conditions. Like if you take his numbers outside Pakistan, he struggles big time. Like especially in India, I don't know what happens in India to him, but when it comes to Pakistan, he's just like...
It was a different kind of a smog.
Yeah, he looks like a Don Bradman over there. Like he's scoring on every grounds and whatnot. So it will be very interesting. How
it's the same thing that happens to Indian batters when they play Mitchell Santner. Same thing. Yes, their own conditions. Mitchell Santner. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, right? Daniel Vettori. There's an article on Cricinfo. Daniel Vettori was called the king of mediocrity. There's an article, right, where he started his batting and everything, and then from there where he ended is different story altogether. But similar, right? I mean, you come in with not too much complications, right areas, and man, India has 2 left-arm spinners. It's not like they don't know how to play left-arm spinners, but Santner has some magic. I don't know what he does in IPL, what is he learning in IPL? But when it comes to international games against India, they're not able to do anything to him. In England, they could not take him apart. So I think it's all in the mind. So yeah, it's India versus Santner, and
I think
let's see what happens.
he's very clever with his pace variation. Without much change to his action, he's able to slow it down to like 69 kilometers per hour, like 71. Like I mean, to the viewer, it's really hard to see how with the arm speed, it's hard to see how quick he's bowling. I think that's his main weapon, the variation in his speed. I think that's where he benefits.
I think he also is not scared of being smashed. Like, even when he gets hit for a 4 or a 6, he doesn't seem to panic. Like, when you see other spinners, right? And they get hit for 4 or 6, and you can kind of see them. I was about to say shitting themselves is probably the terminology, but you can see it on their face. Abrar, you watch him bowl, and if he gets hit for a 4, you can just see the worry in his eyes. And then the next ball, he tries something different. It's a long hopper, gets hit for another 4. And I think that's probably a trait that Mitchell Santner has, is that he seems like ice cool about it. He knows he's going to get hit for 4 or 6 because he's a spinner. And I think that kind of plays into the minds of batsmen as well. He's really unflustered. And I think he looks like a bowler that should be hittable as well.
Yeah.
Yes. To be completely honest, like, he looks like someone that should be getting hit for 4 and 6s. He's not peak Shane Warne, you know what I mean? And all these batters at the moment are playing him like he's bowling like grenades. Like, I don't get it. I remember England at one point about 4, 5, 6 years ago, they got kind of stuck into him, but I haven't really seen that many teams consistently do it. And I think a lot of that is also a lot of batsmen, for some reason in world cricket right now, are struggling with left arm orthodox spin. And that's what I always say with Pakistan. Like, if Pakistan need to develop a left arm orthodox spin, it's a quality one.
We have 2 in the ranks, and none of them were Arafat Minas and Mehran Mumtaz.
We actually don't believe in developing anything, so we just we just bring in people, use their form, and then when they when they lack form, we bring another guy and go from there. So
what's happened to the old Pakistan of, like, introducing a teenager? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of gone, isn't it?
We introduce them, but then we just kind of,
right now our focus is to revive careers. So we are on that verge. We have brought back at least 3 people in this squad, and in order to revive their careers. So
we brought 2 people last World Cup.
Yeah,
Imad and Amir.
Yeah.
So it's a trend. We set trends. We don't follow them.
Okay, so quick question on Fahim Ashraf. Is he going to be in playing 11?
I doubt it. Highly doubt it.
I mean, I think the right question would be, if he isn't playing 11, what will be his role? What role does he have to play?
The role, we are clear. The role is filling a spot. That's it. That's his role.
Yeah.
That I'm clear about. But will he get? I mean, it's shocking, man. Sometimes Pakistan, not sometimes, consistently, they surprise you with things. So
you had one injury of Saim Ayub, and it just, I mean, sorry to say, it mind fucked them. Like, it really just got them all over the place. Like, you push Babar to open, you drop Irfan Khan Niazi, you brought Khushal Shah in, you tinkered with every combination that you had. Like, I don't understand why. And I even said it before, and I think Abrar is going to be a problem, because Abrar is slightly more effective if people are going after him. Like, we saw a couple catches being dropped, but if the situation is where they need to milk 4 runs, 5 runs per over to steady the ship, Abrar is completely ineffective. I mean, New Zealand did that with no problem at all. But speaking of Abrar, given what's already happened, can we see Abrar play his first ICC tournament for Pakistan,
Yeah, most definitely.
or do we see him on the bench?
Do they have any
No, this
other
time.
options? Like that's the problem.
Well, I mean, we can create options.
We can create options, exactly.
Yeah. We can have him sit out, play Fahim Ashraf in place of him. That will give us more batting. We will have Salman Ali Aga and Khushdil Shah bowling bunch of overs. So that very much possible. So we can easily, create the situation where we will go without any specialist spinner.
You just put in Ghulam in the team, and then you could play Sul Shakil, Ghulam. I mean, fuck, Zaman could bowl some spin. There you go. Then you could back
Babar
down to like
Azam
number
also,
one. Yeah, you back down to like
Kamran Ghulam, South Shakil, Fakhar Zaman, all of them bowls left arm spin. Babar bowls off spin. So we have plenty of options. He actually can bowl medium pace too. So if we need an all rounder, we can do that too.
guys. What do you think? Why do you think Usman Khan is in the team in the squad? I thought that was a bit of a weird selection.
This is the perfect answer. He they're just basically substituting his income because he left Dubai and the Dubai work authorization, and now he's here and he just substituted that.
He is somebody, like people in North America can relate it better. I don't know if it is happening in New Zealand right now or not, but all the big corporations are going through restructuring, right? Like every now and then they go into a restructuring mode, and then Pakistan seems to be in that mode all the time. And Usman Khan is one employee that gets restructured. So, he was based in UAE, left that opportunity, got restructured, came Pakistan, played the T20 World Cup. He played in all seriousness, he is in the team because Pakistan did this whole, big Champions Cup ODI format tournament before, I think it was somewhere last year, August or something. And he was one of the top performers there. And the team that he was playing for ended up winning the tournament. And then technically he was supposed to be a backup keeper plus a backup opener, but he is not being portrayed as such as a backup opener, and looks like they're not even considering him as a backup opener. They are more focused on, South Shakil and Babar Azam, which is, absurd to me. But that's Pakistan cricket. We can, there's nothing we cannot expect.
If they were looking at a backup keeper and a backup opener, Hasibullah Khan would have been the guy, I reckon. Because he averages like 50 in list day cricket. And if you're looking for the future, just as someone to back up, then he kind of fits that bill. That's what I was like, well, I don't know why Usman Khan is considered in that role when he's probably not even going to get a game.
Yeah, but we are not that, we don't follow logic. That's not our cup of tea. So like logically you would make a case like, oh, why not Hasibullah? And the funniest thing is, like, when you're going on tough tours like Australia and South Africa, you carry people like Hasibullah and Irfan Khan and all these young guys to go and perform over there when those conditions are alien to them, right? Because they are doing their first tours. And then when you come back to play a big tournament in your home conditions where they are super familiar with, you choose to have them sit out and play in some useless warm-up, Champions Trophy games. So like, so, that's Pakistan cricket for us. So, they do these kind of acts far more consistently.
I cited this example where Rachin Ravindra was out. They didn't make Tom Latham open. Tom Latham stayed in his spot. They had a backup opener, and he stepped in. In this case, Sam Ayub got injured. No reason for Babar to go in. Just bring in a backup opener. No. We need to change the course of history
And it's
and do
not like
something out of the box.
Pakistan. It's not like Pakistan don't have Imam who's been good in Pakistan conditions. Shah Massoud who's got a good list A record. And then you've got Abdullah Shafiq. I know he had 3 ducks in a row, but he was good in the World Cup. So it's not like you guys don't have options. You just didn't choose any of those options.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We had
It just
plenty
makes
of
you just
options.
go, what the hell?
Yeah.
I think that was a reaction for every Pakistani fan. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. I think it was more of a creativity, thinking out of the box, those sort of terminologies
Yeah, I think they
use
used an old version of AI, old ChatGPT. Asked ChatGPT to give them a theme, and this is what
No,
it
they
gave
were
them.
they were trying to run GPT on Internet Explorer. And that's what they got.
This is what they got. Yeah.
All right. Ideal case scenario. I'll start with Archit. What's your starting 11 for the game against Bangladesh? Who starts off in your team? I know 5 spinners, but I doubt all 5 of them will play. So looking at, let's say, ideal conditions, pitch is offering assistance to both pace and seam. Seam and spin. What's your ideal case scenario 11?
I think there is only one real combination India is going with, right? All the other players are just backup. So you open with Rohit and Gill. Kohli 1 down. Then you have Shreyas Iyer at number 4. Then you have Akshar or KL, that's 5-6 in whatever order. And then you have Jadeja coming in at 7. So Hardik Pandya 7, Jadeja 8. So that's your top 8 batters. I don't think that's going to change. And then you have, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11 are going to be Kuldeep, 2 seamers. So I think they will start with Shami. And then you will probably have Arshdeep instead of Harshit Rana. So that's what is going to happen. I think that is what they're going to go with. I don't see a lot of changes coming in unless they replace Jadeja with the Washington Sundar. If the opposition has a lot of left-armers, left-handed batsmen, then they might make that change. If Shami is not really fit, they'll bring in a Harshit Rana for that. But apart from that, I think that's the Rohit Sharma style of captaincy. You can see there's a pattern and they're going to go with it. So that's probably their playing 11 from the get-go. So, and that is why they dropped Jaiswal and they picked Varun Chakravarti, because they were sure that Jaiswal is not going to get a game. Jaiswal was there in the T20 World Cup as well. He did not get a game because even in that case, if Rohit or Kohli either of them were not available, they would have gone with maybe Pant going up and playing Sanju Samson, something like that. So Jaiswal's time will come, but not right now. And they've done the smart thing of not taking him along, even though I guess he's the batsman in form. But because you cannot drop Rohit or Kohli, so that's where you are stuck with, and you cannot drop Gill. He is one of the best performers right now. So that's the team. The team, for a change, is I think it is having some serious batting depth, and that's what they're banking on. So India is trying to play some evolved version of baseball. I think that's what they are going to do. Everything will go as per plan, apart from that game against New Zealand. In that New Zealand game, Santner will come and nothing's going to work. That's what's going to happen. New Zealand beat India 3-0. We cannot forget that. Yes. You cannot take that out of equation. Cannot. Santner played 2 out of those 3 games and he got wicket by the buckets. Right. So I'm telling you, that's the game. So India beat New Zealand, I think then India has a fair chance at the trophy. But like any other ICC tournament, India are one of the favorites, but we just don't know in which game will they slip up.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Last question before I move on. Who are your top four? And just a heads up, you cannot pick three from the one group.
Yeah. I think from the other group, for some reason, I don't see Australia making it because the bowling attack is not very experienced, right? So I would, and I don't like England of late. I don't think they're doing justice. So that leaves Afghanistan coming in along with, which is a fourth team in the other group. It's
South Africa.
South Africa. So maybe it's that. That's purely based on logic. And because I don't see England, I don't know what cricket is England playing. It's out of my understanding. I don't know what are they doing. The mess that they have created in India in past 3 ODIs, it has revived Rohit Sharma's career. That's one thing they have done, right? From our group, man, tough.
It's not that
Logically
really
speaking,
tough. It's not that really tough.
No. So I don't see Pakistan making it to the next round. That's a logical call. But again, it's Pakistan. They are consistently inconsistent. So you just don't know with them. And I will be laughing too much if India don't make it. After hue and cry of Dubai and Pakistan and this and that, if they don't make it to next round. I mean, India's minimum spec has to be playing a final in Dubai. If they don't win it, it's fine. But that's the minimum you expect from them, right? I mean, that's the kind of cricket they've been playing. And they were, I think they should have won the 2023 World Cup. I think they played some seriously thrilling cricket then. They're playing ODI cricket like never before. They have everything that they have. Even without Bumrah, I think they are a team to reckon with. This time, they don't have their obvious problems are Rohit and Kohli. That's their obvious problems. And because they're experienced cricketers, when it comes to the big games, we are hoping that they'll fire. That's the Indian strategy. That's a tactic that everyone else is going to take us to those big games. And then these two guys, one of them has to make us win those 2 big games. That's basically it. So to answer your question, so I guess it's India, New Zealand, South Africa, and Afghanistan.
That's fair.
I think 3 out of 4 make it.
I mean, South Africa did play without their gun players, the Tri-Nation, so it's fair to assume that once their gun players are in, they might be able to make some difference.
South Africa almost defeated Australia in World Cup. Afghanistan almost defeated Australia in that World Cup. Right?
Almost.
Yeah.
Adam, coming to you, in an ideal case scenario, what's your starting 11? I think they've played almost an ideal case scenario in Tri-Nation tournament, but in an ideal scenario, what's your starting playing 11 and who's your top 4?
Rachin Ravindra, Devon Conway, Kane Williamson, Daryl Mitchell, Tom Latham, Glenn Phillips, Bracewell, Santner, Matt Henry, Will O'Rourke, and Lockie Ferguson. That's the 11 I think that they will probably go with. Pretty consistent. I know it's boring, but that's it.
Whatever works.
Top 4, I'm very similar to Arshit. I mean, I look at the squad formation, I look at conditions, and I look at form. So I went for India and New Zealand from, was it Group A?
Oh, yeah, Group A.
Where it is. Yeah. But I mean, if Pakistan were to beat New Zealand in the opening game, that would not surprise me at all. Because you don't need all your resources to win one game of cricket, right? It happens to be a couple of individuals in a game. And obviously, Pakistan's stung New Zealand before. So if that happened, it wouldn't surprise me. But if I was going on all the variables leading up to the tournament, I'd say New Zealand and India to get out of that group. The other group, I actually chose the same 2 as well. I went for South Africa and Afghanistan. I think England is playing really poorly at the moment, and
Yeah.
they also don't have any spinners. I mean, they've only got the one spinner, Adil Rashid, and I don't know why they are preoccupied with playing a pace attack. It just seems nonsensical to me. And they're not already good at playing spin either. So I kind of put a bit of a question mark on them. If they get some flat pitches in Pakistan, they could be really dangerous, though. Prince Harry could be back. Who knows? So you can never really write them off, but they've been playing awful. And they're probably, in all fairness, they're probably going to be happy that they're not playing India as well in the group stage. Australia, too many injuries. They got humbled by Sri Lanka recently. They're too dependent on Travis Head with the bat. Glenn Maxwell and Travis Head can only do so much. The middle order looks a little bit flaky to me. They've only got the one really specialist spinner. So it is Australia, but that was kind of my question mark about them. Afghanistan, a load full of spinners. They like the conditions. They've got like a good top order. Their middle order is not overly strong, but I think if their top order can set a platform, I think they can trouble the other three teams in the group. South Africa, interesting one, perennial chokers. It's hard to really tip them to do anything without thinking about their history. But they've got such a dynamic batting lineup, even without Quinton de Kock. They've got some handy spinners. Even with a few injuries, I think their bowling lineup is still strong. So based on all of that, I went for South Africa as well.
Fair enough. In an ideal case scenario, Pakistan does not. I don't think Pakistan is an ideal case scenario, but in ideal conditions, what's your starting 11 for Pakistan against New Zealand, and who's your top 4?
So ideally, I think the playing 11 that played against South Africa, that was for me, I think, was a better side. And I mean, I don't know how Haris Rauf is doing currently and if he is recovered or not, but if he is recovered and ready to play, then he definitely walks in. And then when you have trusted Khushdil to play a certain role, then I think he should be back. I know he has not performed with the bat yet, but you gotta back him. And then so my playing 11 is basically that. Hassan goes out, Haris back comes in. You play with 3 seamers. You have Abrar, Khushdil, and Salman Ali Agha for the first game. And not like too many changes doesn't help the team, because it's not that you don't have anybody in the bench that you will bring in and all of a sudden your team is gonna become unbeatable, right? It's not the case. So it's that whatever role you are assigned to, everybody have to play their role, execute their role, and if they do that, only then they're gonna get better, or they have a better chance at the trophy. So, playing 11 for me is that top 4. I know everybody is. A lot of people are putting Afghanistan as dark horses in this trophy, and I'm gonna put Pakistan as dark horses, just because because they are an unpredictable side. They will turn up one day, and they will just amaze you, and then next day they come and they will play some very ordinary cricket. So you cannot really predict with Pakistan, but ideally you would want to see India and New Zealand from Group A to move forward. And I think if they end up, I know if they won't be able to play the semifinal because I think it's like 1-4, 2-3, whatever. But they're like they are the team. When they play off together or against each other, it's you can see it can go either way. Lately, I think New Zealand have a better hand at India. So, but from the other group, it's hard. Obviously, South Africa will get some boost with Rabada joining and some of their other players joining. So they will definitely be in a position where they can qualify. Afghanistan is another team that has they will feel like they're playing at home because subcontinent conditions are not that different from each other. So ideally, South Africa and Afghanistan have a better chance at qualifying because they have the depth in their squad. Their bowling attacks looks, they have the variety in their bowling attack. It looks much better. England and England and Australia have issues in terms of, like, Australia. I know it's inexperienced, but then they have played in Pakistan in recent times with a a less experienced squad, and they did it okay because I think they beat Pakistan in T20 and then they lost the ODI series. So it's not gonna be I won't be surprised if I see Australia doing well in this trophy, even though they have a inexperienced squad.
That's fair. I think Australia went on their last ODI tour had 300 plus scores on all games. I think one game they had 280 or something, and that was a game where Travis had failed to score. But other than that, they were able to score 300 plus in all games. I think we covered everything. All right, yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining in, tuning into our Champions Trophy preview. This was more of a Group A preview, but thanks for tuning in and making it this far. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.